What's up, everybody? Let's I think I'll do a little series here because what has been motivating me to do videos lately is just well, it's usually what's happened, just the overwhelming amount of bullshit that people repeat. I don't think a lot of these people are intentionally doing it, and I'll always say that. I don't think people are coming out here trying to steer people in a wrong direction, or I think people just want to sound important, sound like they know something. They do some research and they come to a conclusion, but it's not based upon a blueprint or a map. It's not based upon the whole overarching thing of what's going on here. And I'm going to talk about something I've always talked about. It's salt. And I'd done a much earlier video on the woman's period and the menstrual cycle, what it is, and its connection to salt. And I didn't go too far back, and I don't think I want to do that here. I could get into the originations of it, but plainly speaking, I don't think women are supposed to be having a period at all. I don't think that's supposed to be occurring. And it connects to going all the way back, but I'm not going to explain all of the connections to the kings paying people in salt and basically destroying people's health. But if we just look at it from where we are now and what we can do, and I can tell you the responses that I've gotten, and what I know for certain is that I've done a fast with my girlfriend for 40 days, removing all the salt from her diet, and she was pretty saltless after that, like inorganic salts. Once again, inorganics is what we're talking about here, not organic salts. Meaning there's a carbon bond and it's living. It's a living thing. A plant has living... It's a living life force. It's nutrition. Where the salt of the earth is not carbon bond, it's dead, and it acts as a deterrent in the body for health. It's a poison. And so after she did her fast for 40 days, her period was down to about a day. And then we got back into eating and things, and the length of her period went up. Why would... if the period is just removing the... This is the biggest point that needs to be understood. If the period is just removing what's going on in the uterine lining and getting rid of the eggs, as it is told to people, then it would happen the same no matter what your level of health. It would seem, girls wouldn't be having 5 days worth of period. Yet I've known girls to have 5, 6, 7 days, and I bet most people out here probably have 4 days worth of a period. That's insane. But then you find people that are healthier, and even go so far as to say extremely healthy, fruitarians, and they don't have periods at all. And this is off the back of somebody made a video, I think it was Unchain Your Brain, that was on the rites of passage of the blood, of menstrual blood. And while that has turned into a... just like there are so many things in so many different religions that are odd things that we just go, oh no, that's what happens here, and that's why we do that. I don't think it's connected to health. In fact, I know it's not. I've heard from so many my earlier videos. I was getting response back from women that had stopped taking salt, and I'd made the connection between the word, oh, you're being salty, and salt in someone's diet, and she said she noticed that not only was her period much less, that literally her behavior and her feelings and her quick to react to things lessened. She said people in work even noticed, because they had a nickname for her, and she said that they had noticed that she had been less salty. Now, getting back to the original thing, like if the menstruation is just getting rid of what is said to be the uterine lining, then it wouldn't be based on health again. It wouldn't be based on what else is in your body. It would just be getting rid of that, wouldn't it? But then if it is based on health, then you can know right away that 5 days isn't enough. And even if women are supposed to have 1 day worth of a period, even if they are, which it doesn't seem to me to be correct, because and I'm not gonna... Nature Boy, Elagio Nature Boy, I believe he did a thing on fruitarian and women not supposed to have a period. And I've gone farther into this in my other videos with a lot of deeper insight into it, but I'm trying to give it to you from the base level. There's something called hajima, or wet cupping. It's basically, you know, cupping therapy where you'll poke the skin and you'll pull out the blood, toxic blood. And what you notice is in toxic blood, there's a lot of blood clotting going on. The blood clot is it's not allowing the blood to be fluid. See, like, you should have a lot of blood thinner if you're getting blood clots, if you're having clogs in your blood. And the things that can do that are the things that are obvious, that create mucus, that create an unnatural state in the body. And salt being inorganic is causing the body to take basically all the white blood cells and everything else and go find the salt, surround it, and clot it up to remove it from the body. But sometimes that happens in a way that it ends up in one spot of the body. There's all sorts of things you can eat that will cause blood clots. I'm not just saying just salt. There's all sorts of other things that people are consuming. Again, if we look at overly cooked food at times, if we look at certain types of, you know, cooked oils, things that are just, that if the carbon bond has been broken basically and it's turning into a dead food. So this understanding of the rite of passage of what it is about the period, it has much more to do with blood clotting and health than it does to do with what we've been told is some sort of rite of passage. Because I do wonder, you know, I haven't done a very in-depth research because things to me just seem to be, because I've done so much research on so many things, that I can overlay things and say, well, this just makes sense, and I'm sure that I'll find the information if I were to go out and do a little more research. And just like I did, I did a quick search on periods and menstruation cycle. I did this a while ago, and then I'd done some more into it, and it's finding this, that women that are on raw fruitarian diets aren't bleeding, and that I didn't even know about Dr. Sebi's position on it. I didn't know. I just in passing heard what I believe to be a couple of my other teachers that are really great teachers kind of say something in that direction about the period as well. But my studies have pretty much unanimously shown that this is a health issue, and that it's all about consuming inorganics. And I don't mean inorganic versus organic fruit. I've done a video on this. I mean inorganics in the state of chemistry, meaning something that doesn't have a carbon bond that is dead. Carbon bonding just basically means if it's living and moving around like a plant is growing, that has a carbon bond in it, and there's life force in that. Whereas the salt and all of these other things, and this goes into the vegan diet too, because there's a lot of things that are inorganic from the world of made in a lab or in a that come from salts that are considered, because it's not hurting an animal. Again, this vegan thing is a slippery slope to a very different kind of unhealth. And if we always know that anything that has been popularized and basically co-opted by large institutions, the government, you know, even getting into the FDA and getting into, you know, doctors, and there's got to be something in there that isn't quite right. There's got to be something that you're not noticing. And for me, I've always explained it. I've always been telling people it's all about these inorganics. It's all about the plastics, the salts, the made in a laboratory, the things that are actually causing you to be much more unhealthy. And the unhealth might be changing from the types of unhealth we have now to unhealth of different organs in our body. Like, this is a real thing. And it seems like toxifying the blood and screwing up different glandular systems is probably what we're going to find out it's happening whenever we look at this over a long period of time. I mean, it's easy to see, and, you know, getting back to the woman's period, again, I'll just restate that if any woman were to start getting rid of the inorganic salts, I think you'll find out right away. And this, a lot of people go, oh, I went a vegetarian diet. I went on a fruit diet. You know, they've taken these diets and they immediately feel better. Well, a big portion of that is because you're eating living things that are giving you energy. And another thing is you're not putting more poison in your body. And right around the time of the period, I bet that people are going to be feeling a lot better. There's not going to be so much buildup of toxin. There's going to be less for the body to expel. And I'll say that again and again. I can't understand. I can't see why it would take 5 days versus 1 day, if it is just truly getting rid of what is on the lining of the wall, because it's not completely true. So this is just a PSA. Go check out my other work I've done on salt, and I've done one on periods, and maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 months ago I did this, maybe 6. Go look back into there, and I tell a little more information on it. But again, if anybody wants me to go farther on this, I mean, here, I'll just do it right here. The simple connection, I won't get too deep, is the payment that the kings, the Khans, the Cohens, the priestcraft, like the kings were not our friends. They forgot that they were our kin, and they started paying people in salt. They say, are you worth your salt? And they started paying people in salt, and people start, I mean, this is about, you know, you put salt on meat, and meat is, you know, you can save meat by putting salt on it and pickling things. This gets into, you know, consuming of the blood, and the use of salt for what it was used in. I mean, because originally salt was used just outside of the body and in magical uses. It was not used inside the body internally. There was no reason for the human collective to put salt inside the body. We weren't ones that were people that were inland weren't searching out salt. People that were near the sea weren't drying it out to get. This is a newer practice. This isn't a healthy practice. They were eating the food from the ground just as they found it. You find a fruit on a tree, you eat it. It's delicious. That's all there is. That's all there is to life. You walk into the garden and there's the fruit and you eat it. And then we lowered ourselves to eat vegetation, and then we lowered ourselves to finding that, you know, this gets into where we are now with, oh, there's not a, you know, the fruits and vegetables aren't sweet enough, they're not, you know, they're not flavorful enough, and we put salt on something, and that dead salt has to do with, you know, it's again, I'm not going to go too far into this. It's just that the payment was made by the kings, and there's a big connection there. And if anybody wants to go into my other work, I do quite a bit on this. It's just too much for here. Just stop, you know, slow down on the salt. Stop consuming. It's, and no, the Himalayans, you don't want that either. You don't live in the Himalayas. What's in your local environment? That's what you should be eating. Yeah, we'll talk soon, guys. Cheers.